Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
You're watching Simspeed TV as we bring you coverage of Ozicar Formula Ford. Always so close, so exciting. In these junior level open wheelers, the slipstream's powerful, the pack racing is king. And who can come out on top in a new season of Ozicar Formula Ford remains to be seen. Round 3 from Brands Hatch, the Grand Prix layout, West Kingsdown in Kent. It looks like a beautiful day to go racing. David Haynes here with Jason Fewens, Daniel Yeaman on the production, replays, graphics, all of that to bring you Ozicar Formula Ford.
Yeah, thanks, David. Welcome, everybody, to a Brands Hatch. Absolutely stunning day here. Virtually great field numbers tonight in the Formula Ford 1600. The classic tracks tend to bring out the good numbers. It's a fan favourite. When you think about circuits around the UK, this one tends to get overlooked a little bit, but there's some names around this circuit that highlight some of the greatest motorsport personalities in history. So you've got Hawthorn, you've got Sterling, you've got Graham Hill, you've got our very own Jack Brabham. There is names galore, corners galore, straights galore, passing opportunities galore, and tonight we are going to put it all on the line for 2 20-minute feature races here on Simspeed TV. And at the end of the night, hopefully we will be able to crown a winner.
Yes, indeed. It's always been good racing in the open wheelers in Formula 4, Ozicar, whether we've been racing Formula 4, Formula Ford, Formula V, any of them. It's been super exciting. They're gridding up now from the qualifying order for race number 1, 20 minutes or 12 laps of the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Up front on the poles, John Merritt and Adrian Duke are looking like they're going to be the front row. From Stuart Vaughan and Sean Doyle, Tim Harris, Sam Chapman, Brodie Shepherd, Sean McKenzie, Tony Baker, and Nathan Verney is our top 10. Then we've got Warren Henry, Ira Feldberg, John Snell, Jordan Dakin, Brendan Nealon, and Wheeler, and Michael Cullen, with no qualifying time, may start from the 17th position. It's a short run to a tight turn 1, and then a very tight Druids hairpin, but the back half of the racetrack starts to really open up with high-speed flowing corners and some longer straights with these Formula Fords in race number 1.
Yeah, the downhill section into Hawthorn, great passing opportunity before the back end of the circuit really tightens up. Like you said, fast flowing, but not a lot of passing opportunities back through there. So we have the majority of the cars on the grid ready for the lights to go green, just waiting on a couple more to make their way into position, ready for the start of heat number 1. Great crowds on the side of the circuit. Hopefully we've got great crowds tuning in tonight here on Simspeed TV for what is going to be an absolutely cracking outing tonight here at Brands Hatch.
So there's John Merritt on his pole position from Adrian Duke and Stuart Vaughan. Get a load of the weather, a little bit breezy, but not too bad for UK. They're revving. The Formula Fords are ready to go racing with the green flag waving. John Merritt from the standing start. Decent getaway, but Adrian Duke just a little bit quicker. Stuart Vaughan in red and blue, they're moving across, trying to really open up turn 1. Cold tyres for all involved, and it's so tricky through turn 1 as you've got that massive dip and drop away. Then you're heading back uphill, braking zone into the hairpin. Everyone looking to get to the inside line, and not everyone can. You've got 3 cars around there. Looks like Mackenzie's tangled with one of the locked-on cars, and not the smoothest of rejoin there from Tony Baker either. Those three drivers are at the tail of the field now with Nathan Verney in the 17th place. Everyone else looks good on lap 1, Jason.
Yeah, hard. Cold tyres, hard braking opportunity. A couple of cars just got a little bit loose. The Aussie car found himself out in the dirt, in the dust early, and then become collateral damage off the track. So up the front, John Merritt still got control of this as they go down the hill into Hawthorns for the first time. This is that section of the track we spoke about earlier. Pretty well a single file. There is an opportunity to pass if you have a little bit of overlap and you trust the people around you, but at this early stage of the race, cold tyres, everybody single file.
This is the battle for up front in the race, looking backwards from John Merritt's race-leading car, powered by Coffee, Adrian Duke. And as they battle, Stuart Vaughan has a good run here as well to try to go with the leading group through Sterling's corner. You get this clearways little straight down towards Clark curve. This is a much quicker entry on the Grand Prix circuit than it is on the compact Indy layout. And so you're trying to carry as much speed as possible out of there on this very banana-shaped front straight, knowing that turn 1 at Paddock Hill Bend and then into the Druids hairpin are great places to overtake. It has a race leader going a little defensive and then trying to cross back underneath. Adrian Duke looks to have set him up to perfection to have a chance to outbreak into the hairpin.
Side by side down through Druids on the second lap. Tyres should be up to temperature now. Adrian Duke with plenty of confidence in the front end of that little Formula Ford as he takes control of the race, going down through Graham Hill Bend now, using all the track and then some out on that little bit of AstroTurf on the right hand side. Drivers don't get a slowdown out there, so as any racer will tell you, they'll use any advantage they can get up through the corner now. That is Bradley? No, 30s down through the hill back into Hawthorn to complete another lap under the bridge. A little bit of a gap now between the top 5 back to 6, so a little bit of a breakaway as they go side by side through Hawthorn.
Adrian Duke needed to defend. John Merritt was around the outside and made no progress there. It's brought the rest of the pack up front very, very close to the race lead. From the driver's perspective, it's blind turning into this next right-hander. It's almost blind from that camera perspective as well. Once you've done a couple laps, you just know where the apex is and how you're going to turn into it. It's a little intimidating initially. You've got to use the camber that then unbanks through Sterling's to carry speed underneath this access bridge, picking the braking zone into this fast right-hander. And again, a good run through here sets you up so perfectly to then attack into turn 1 and the hairpin at turn 2.
So breakaway at the moment, Adrian Duke ahead of John Merritt, Stuart Vaughan out of P3. Sean Doyle doing a pretty good job. Tim Harris takes the fastest lap of the race straight away. That is taken away by Sam Chapman. That's your top 6 annual breakaway. A little bit further back, you can see Brody Shepherd just hanging on in no man's land at the moment. But if these guys keep fighting like they are, too wide, this would very quickly become a 7-way battle.
So the other drivers that could buy into this, Sean Doyle in the 4th place, Tim Harris in 5th, Sam Chapman in 6th. Then you have that little bit of a gap back to Brody Shepherd and Warren Henry. Here we are. This thing's built like a backyard shed, perhaps, for Tim Harris in the 5th place as he watches what's happening up front. Just wants to stay in touch with them, not too worried about Sam Chapman behind him in 6th for the moment. Timing column has the big movers. Michael Cullen, we said no qualifying time from him. Well, he's inside of the top 10. Warren Henry and Ira Felberg also picking off a couple of spots as we've gone. This race 1, it's looking like it's about the top 6.
A little bit further back in the pack, we do focus on Michael Cullen in P10. He is hot on the heels, sniffing the gearbox of Ira Felberg in P9. So the man on the move at the moment, sitting back, just avoiding a little bit of that carnage on the opening lap. Paid dividends, so he's made a clean run now, up 7 positions, like you said, Dave. Looking pretty racy down into Clark Curve. Pulls to the inside. No, not too much threat there from Ira. He just sort of rolls out of the throttle, decides to hop in behind, realises there is a long way to go in this race, plus a second feature race yet to come. Crossing the line to start lap number 5. Hello,
pace car. Not expecting you too much. It's parked there. We didn't even need it for a formation lap or anything. Standing start for Ozicar Formula Ford. And this is some of the other battling. Tony Baker in front of Jordan Dakin, John Snell. A few of the drivers that had some drama early in this race, particularly Sean McKenzie and Nathan Verney, their wheels were interlocked and tangled in the gravel on the outside of Druid's hairpin. But they're back in this race now. And there's a couple of positions they still could look to pick off.
Again, through 30s up the hill, left-hander very much off camber. Got to get the right drive out of there to maximise your effort down this back straight, down the hill, back into Hawthorn. Like I said, it's a passing opportunity if you get a good drive out of that corner. But looks like everybody single file down through here for what is lap number 4 at the moment. A little bit further back in the field. Plenty of battles happening though, nonetheless.
So it's laps led for John Merritt from that pole position, but it hasn't been easy with Adrian Duke and Stuart Vaughan trying to get ahead of him when they could. Now Vaughan trying to get ahead of Adrian Duke. They'll go side by side for second place. Lets John Merritt a little bit off the hook, and now Sean Doyle is sniffing around. Stuart Vaughan, where's he gone, is the question they'll be asking.
So Stuart Vaughan being the magic man at the moment. Now you see him and now you don't. Down through Druid, side by side, Adrian Duke just sticking the nose down the inside, taking the position back to P2. So while this is happening, John Merritt just taking a little bit of a breather at the moment. Got a 0.7 gap. That's the largest we've seen in this top group since the lights went green. A little bit of cooperation and working together, or else John Merritt just might give himself a clean set of heels and run away for race number 1.
Expecting pit stops in these races. The drivers start with just 8 litres of fuel on board, and then they're revving, they're racing. So you've got a couple of early pit stop takers in Ira Fellberg and Sean McKenzie. The rest of them will look to go a little bit later. There's Sean Doyle, sufficiently well accessorised and just keeping an eye on the goings-on with the top 3.
Yeah, concentration on his face. Very, very twitchy little short wheelbase cars. These looks like he's getting a little bit loose with the wheel out on the grass. It manages to pull it back in. So the Pavilion Motorsport driver there doing a pretty good job of just getting things back under control. A little bit of a smirk and a smile on his face. He knows how close that was.
The glasses say, I read philosophy, and the beard says, there isn't an energy drink in a service station that I haven't tried.
So he is hooked into P4 at the moment, watching the battle for the first, second, third in front. So ready to pick up the pieces if anything is to go astray. Stuart Vaughan looking pretty racy again, drives to the inside, can't get the job done though, covered off by Adrian Duke. They have reeled that gap back into John Merritt as well, so it is only 0.3 of a second now, so still anyone's game from P1 through to P6 at this stage.
This is a good place to be with a pit stop still to come, sitting in 4th place with a good view on the lead. And Vernie and Tony Baker, the other drivers who are going to stop. Always find that left-hander uphill, the apex is later than you think. And so to get a good run onto this following straight can be tough. John Merritt doesn't like them following him on this straight. And so he's just going to take them on a little guided scenic tour, one side of the racetrack and back to the other.
Marshall's there on the left-hand side, watching all the racing as they make their way through. Starting to fan out a little bit now. Again, John Merritt just stretching those legs almost out to half a second through that blind right-hander where you really have to trust where the apex of the corner is. Like you said, Dave, you can't see it until you've already committed to the corner. As they make their way down through Stirling's Bend, back into Clark, ready to complete yet another lap. So halfway through race number 1. And are we going to see anyone dive into the pits? Nobody blinks at this stage. They all circulate round for another lap.
2 things to look out for when you make your pit stop here. 1, the pit lane speed limit is 72 kilometres an hour, so not too bad. But you cannot get your tyres on the concrete, the green concrete, on your way towards the pit entry. Otherwise, it's a penalty. And I think, I'm going to guess that's what Nathan Verney did that got him a pit lane penalty. And so he's well behind some of these other drivers he could have been battling with. John Snell and Jordan Dakin get to pit 9th and 10th.
Yeah, just under a minute and a half for a quick lap around here, so they do tend to fly by pretty quick. So Nathan Verney might find himself lap traffic if he doesn't put his foot down rather soon, but he might be saved by the opportunity of the leaders going into the pits, because they will have to take that relatively soon. We look out the back now of the little Formula Ford of Neelan.
They're trying to go 3 wide for the race lead. Man, heading towards the end of the straight. Stuart Vaughan thought about having a go here while Adrian Duke was to one side of John Merritt. They're all over each other. Chapman just dropping a tiny bit off of this. Maybe he doesn't want to get tangled in what may or may not happen between the leading 5, but Duke is getting aggressive. Stuart Vaughan saw an opportunity as well. So this is Vaughan's perspective from 3rd. May we be approaching the pit stops for the leaders?
Sean Doyle taking the fastest lap of the race in P4. He says Sam Chapman might be dropping off just as a bit of a precaution. Stuart Vaughan, on the other hand, loves this kind of situation. He is racy. He loves a good little battle side by side. Put the bit between the teeth and grind away. Very, very loose as they go down through Paddock Bend. But that's just the nature of the corner. So everybody makes it through without too much hassle. Sam Chapman now right on the back of these guys again. So 1 through to 6 separated by less than 1 second.
Have to imagine doing 190 kilometers an hour in your bathtub's pretty thrilling. So that's the kind of speeds that they're reaching with a toe towards the end of some of the straights. And again, it's jockeying for position all through this top 6 at the moment. Stuart Vaughan's gotten ahead of Adrian Duke there. So those two have gone back and forth just a little bit over that. Sam Chapman's back in the hunt for it. That looks like a pit lane penalty for Jordan Dakin as well. When we come by pit entry this time, take a look at the green concrete. And if you get wheels on that green concrete, it's a penalty. So if you carry too much speed through the final corner on your way to the pit entry, so easy to be an unsafe pit entry wrong side of the white line.
Yeah, a bit of a balancing act. It's a bit of a gamble. You can either push too hard and make up half a second, or just run a little bit wide, like you said, and you could find yourself a 40-second penalty. Very, very harsh. So risk versus reward. John Merritt leading the way at the moment. He is going wide through Clark Bend, as you see a couple of the leaders peel off. So the first ones to blink, looks like it might have been Sean Doyle and Tim Harris.
And they were all very careful. You saw them make sure that they change lanes safely. And so that should be a good pit stop for Doyle, Harris and Brodie Shepherd also going into the lane, leaving us with just a few that haven't stopped. Service ongoing to Sean Doyle. They expect maybe just around 10 seconds. And those are the numbers that you're seeing most of the way.
Sean Doyle, first one to exit the pits, followed by Brodie Shepherd. So out in sequence as they entered. So very, very similar pit stops. Tim Harris as well. So he's down 3 positions from where he started in P8. Tony Baker a little bit further back though, after a little bit of carnage and an exciting time on lap number 1. So he'll be looking to redeem himself in race number 2. We know he's got speed, but just not luck on his side here in race 1 tonight.
Stuart Vaughan tried to take the race lead away from John Merritt. It didn't work, and then Adrian Duke got through, and that happens so often in these pack battles where if you go for a move and it doesn't stick, then you're on the back foot. Bumped wide, Adrian Duke, a little bit of contact, wheel to wheel with Stuart Vaughan there, and opens up a little bit more space amongst the top 4.
Yeah, Sam Chapman just sitting back in the background, got best view of the house at the moment. This looks like it could be a pit entry from our race leader diving in. Is he followed? He is. Wow, look at the incoming speed from Stuart Vaughan.
Yep, down 72 k's an hour on that pit entry. The only driver that's gone on, Sam Chapman. Michael Cullen also, is he going to stop this lap or the next? He is going to come in, leaving Sam Chapman as the only driver who hasn't tasted pit entry today. So he's got to find a lot of pace right now in search of an overcut. Quick stops from John Merritt and Adrian Duke. Longer stop from Stuart Vaughan is going to hurt him. Merritt's gone. Duke is gone. But Stuart Vaughan is going to end up 4 or 5 seconds behind them.
John Merritt.
Vaughan's been undercut by Sean Doyle, Brodie Shepherd and Tim Harris. He was going for the lead, and now he's had a long stop, and he's been jumped by a whole heap of drivers.
So going effectively from P2 back to P6, Sam Chapman on our screen now in the 101 Vermilion Motorsport, going through the back end of the circuit all on his lonesome at the moment. He'll be hoping that the guys he was battling with continue that little battle while he has some clean track in front of him. Make hay while the sun shines here at Brands Hatch, down through Stirling Bend. And we could expect to see Sam Chapman dive into the pits now here on lap 10 of 12.
Here we go. So you can't be wide on that entry, and then you've got to slow down to 72 by here. It's a pretty short pit lane, so you don't have to wait too long to see where your crew is at that are going to add a little bit of fuel to your Formula Ford. It's 31 pit stalls, apparently, and here is the drivers that he's hoping to battle with for the race lead. John Merritt and Adrian Duke look like they had really good track positioning, really good pit stops. Sam Chapman has had a lightning quick stop. There he is, blending out right with the leaders, just in behind John Merritt, just ahead of Adrian Duke. 2 laps to go. Looks like a 3-way fight for the first race win in Ozicar Formula Ford at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, Sam will be pretty happy with that. He was a P6 before the pit stop sequence and has come out in P2. A little bit of a deficit at the moment while he gets his tyres up to temperature, but not a lot of time to make the move done. He's got a lap and a half to get the move done if he wants to take the win in race number 1. Adrian Duke's currently sitting in P3 as well, so less than 3 tenths separating these three with a lap and a half to go.
All aboard John Merritt's Magic School Bus as he leads them around, continually just trying to break the toe a little bit, make the drivers behind work for it, because at a high average speed circuit, the slipstream's powerful in these Formula Fords. Like a paper plane in the breeze, they are not particularly powerful, but they are very light, so it makes them a good cornering machine, but it also means that not being the one punching through the air can be very, very beneficial to your speed. It's a strong draft pack effect to them. It's 0.6 of a second from first to third place. They're more than 3 seconds ahead of Sean Doyle in fourth as they're about to start the last lap. John Merritt out in front is going to need to have just one eye on his mirrors and one eye on his strategy, one eye on his racecraft.
So 3 eyes.
And the eyes have it.
for the race leader on the final lap. So Sam Chapman looking for a fake dummy down the inside for Druids, decides to set better of it, covers off Adrian Duke, and they don't change position for the top 3 at this stage. John Merritt now down through Graham Hill Bend out onto that AstroTurf, getting the best drive they can down through the later part of the Indy circuit.
Sam Chapman gets the nose in here with a really good run. He's right at John Merritt here. Merritt's going to hold to the right-hand side of the racetrack to never open up the inside line at the end of the straight. And so it's going to be a big move around the outside for Sam Chapman at Hawthorne Bend. If he can pull it off, he's going to stay there. But it's a continuing sequence of right-handers at the far end of the racetrack here. So they arrive at Westfield Bend, and he's still got a hold on the outside there. Heading downhill here towards Sheens. Again, he'll be on the outside. It leaves Adrian Duke with no options but to hope to Stephen Bradbury this one with the outside tyres in the grass. Sam Chapman drops back somewhat behind John Merritt, but finally the track turns left again. Merritt will have the inside to the final corner at Clark's. Heading there right now. Very short little braking zone. All about flowing speed here towards the checkered flag, and it will be a drag race. Short side of the straight to John Merritt, and he's going to be just ahead as they bang wheels on the way to the checkered flag.
So first, second, third, fourth on screen at the moment. That's all taken care of. Brodie Shepherd and Tim Harris still crossing the line. Stuart Vaughan after an early battle for the lead, crossing the line in P7 here for race number 1 tonight. So a bit of a mixed bag of results. Everybody that was up the pointy end at the start of the race was towards the end, but certainly not in the sequence that they were on track early on.
How's the margins for that top 3? Not bad at all. We've got a few drivers that are going to wait a little while to come around and finish this race. Jordan Dakin, I don't think it was actually a pit lane penalty, but 35 seconds stopped. He's made a mistake of something with the pit stop. And Nathan Verney, 52 seconds. So of either speeding or an unsafe pit entry, so he'll end up behind Brendan Nealon and only just on this final lap.
I wonder if Dakin took tyres accidentally. Maybe that was the reason for the extended pit stop.
I'd have to guess 4 tyres might have been what he's done, and a 12-lap race is not going to give you enough payback for that. Let's look at the results from race 1. And just take a look at those margins for the top three. Great battle right to the end. John Merritt ahead of Sam Chapman and Adrian Duke. Not a tenth of a second in it. Sean Doyle had a pretty good last lap, and you know what? He took like a second and a half out of them as they battled, but he was just a little bit too little too late. Ahead of Brodie Shepherd, Tim Harris. Stuart Vaughan picked up the fastest lap of the race, but a long pit stop, and he only got 7th position. Warren Henry, Michael Cullen, and Tony Baker completing that top 10 as Cullen started from the very, very back of the field for some big moves. Then Sean McKenzie, Ira Felberg, John Snell, Ben Wheeler, Jordan Dakin, Brendan Nealon, and Nathan Verney. We go into a progressive grid for race number 2. That's not far away here on Simspeed TV. Stick with us. Next up, race 2 of Ozicar Formula Ford at Brands Hatch.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
These were the gaps for the top 3 at the end of race 1 of Ozicar Formula Ford from Brands Hatch. Absolutely thrilling, and to be there in position was critical with the fuel strategy. So very good stops from Adrian Duke and John Merritt. Very interesting strategy from Sam Chapman, running a lap later than anyone else could. He found a relatively significant overcut that let him be part of the top 3. That was 0.07 of a second between that top 3 right at the end. Ozicar Formula Ford is brought to you by Sim Racing League's Locked On Lads, Prestige Trophy Badge and Engraving, and in support of the No Social Hate campaign, we're just a minute or so away from getting into race number 2, where those positions that the drivers gained or lost in race number 1 will decide their starting position for race number 2.
Yeah, 3.7 kilometres around here. Like I said, a minute and a half, just under for the quick guys up the pointy end of the field. So the 12-odd laps should tick by relatively quick. With the plenty of action that we saw in race number 1, we can expect nothing other than great racing here for race number 2. Like you said, inverted grid as well. Grid's based off the results of race number 1. So mixed bag of results again. Plenty of quick guys up the front. Good mid-pack battles as well. Lots of respect being shown. Grippy track, blue skies. There is nothing more you could ask for here at Brands Hatch tonight.
Yeah, weather doesn't look like it's changed too much from race 1 to the warm-up. We'll see what the warm-up into race 2 brings us. At the end of round 2, it was Jamie Stovall leading the championship, but you may notice his absence here at round 3. So behind him, Brodie Shepherd and Adrian Duke. Brodie Shepherd and Adrian Duke, sorry. That's why they'll be fighting pretty hard for some points today. And then Sean Doyle, Tim Harris, Sam Chapman, John Merritt, Tony Baker, Sean McKenzie, and Warren Henry is the top 10. This round absolutely will shake that up, if for no other reason than the absence of Jamie Stovall.
Yeah, championship leader, just giving everybody a chance to make up a little bit of ground, puts himself behind the 8 ball, I guess, for the championship season. We're only on round number 3 of 6. We are at the halfway point of the season as well. So plenty more racing here to come, plenty more points on offer as well for these drivers. And of course you can drop a round. So come around 6, this will be our championship leaders drop round. So while he might fall back away from the lead of the championship at the moment, come the drop of the final flag, he will be no doubt a contender.
Yeah, so that weather not changing too drastically. 19 in the air, 30 on the racetrack. John Merritt and Sam Chapman will be the front row of the grid for race number 2. Behind them will be Adrian Duke and Sean Doyle, making up row number 2. Row 3's Brody Shepherd and Tim Harris. Stuart Vaughan in the 7th position with Warren Henry in 8th. Michael Cullen gets a good grid position for race number 2 with 9th, ahead of Tony Baker, who is 10th. And then Sean McKenzie, Ira Felberg, John Snell, Ben Wheeler, Jordan Dakin, Brendan Nealon, and Nathan Verney. They're ready to go racing for race number 2. Merritt on that pole position once again, but it's a different field behind him. Towards turn 1 we go. Great start from Vaughan. Poor start from Brody Shepherd. He's getting swamped on the run towards turn number 1. Stuart Vaughan's dropped the clutch with great precision, and he's already up 2 positions into the 5th. It will start with cold tyres once again, and that will be something to look out for on this opening lap.
Yeah, we saw a couple of drivers get caught out last time round. Looks like everybody makes it through. They've learnt their lesson from race number 1. So John Merritt, Sam Chapman, Adrian Duke, as they cross the line in race number 1. That's how they sit on track halfway around the first opening lap here for race number 2. Making their way through Surtees again, back down the hill through this back part of the circuit. If we do the Indy layout, we actually missed this part, but some of the fastest right-hand corners on the circuit. Nice flowing as well for these drivers as they make their way through Hawthorne.
Beautiful day for a beautiful track and some beautiful run through the countryside here. Stuart Vaughan's made some of those spots early on here. And now he's gotten to the back of Sean Doyle. I think a lot of them will have taken notes on Sam Chapman's strategy from race 1. Remember, he sat in 6th place and he sat there and he sat there. He ran very long, had a very quick stop, came out battling for the race win. Now, a lot of them will look to emulate that if they can. You get a bit of a gap between 11th place to Ben Wheeler here in 12th. You just want to be part of that front group and then maybe look to do a little bit of savings if you're going to go for a Sam Chapman type methodology.
Yeah, sitting in position 6 like he did, he was no doubt saving fuel for a lot of that, looking after his tyres. When he did have some clean track, he put it in a very, very quick in-lap as well. So all that accumulated to having a quick pit stop, coming out and being in position to fight for the lead.
Doyle and Vaughan have come together, exit of the hairpin, and both of them have been into the barrier, both of them with some damage. They were battling over 4th position, I think. Sean Doyle, you can see how thrilled he is about that. Answer not very at all, and his car is cactus.
I can read lips and I don't want to repeat what he said. Stuart Vaughan.
Yeah, he's also got some damage and he's dropping back after that. Opens up a chasm of space between the top 3 and the rest of the field as well. John Snell gets a bit of the apex curb. Ira Felberg has a spin. John Snell has a spin. Ooh. Oh, and then 2 others get together as they avoid 2 spun cars. It's Nathan Verney. Jordan Dakin, perhaps?
Yes, so Dakin having a heck of a wild ride going down into Druids there, just taking a ride over the top of Verney. This is the Sean Doyle and Stuart Vaughan incident.
Vaughan's perspective. It's clumsy interlock of wheels there, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think Stuart could have done too much more than he did, and unfortunately for Sean, a little bit of net code just dragged the car straight across into Stuart there. So that was night over for what was potentially one of our race-winning contenders.
Now you got to take stock of who's up front. It's John Merritt once again, Sam Chapman in second position, just a couple of little car lengths back. Adrian Duke in third. Tim Harris is 1.5 seconds then behind that with Brodie Shepherd. Sean McKenzie as a big mover in this race, plus 4 positions into 7th, having started 11th on the grid. And Ben Wheeler started 14th on the grid, and he's up to 9th now.
So Dave, you're an encyclopedia of useless facts. I'll leave it up to you before the end of the race to find out why they call it Dingle Dell.
Yeah, I don't know, but a lot of stuff around here is named after 50s, 60s, 70s motorcyclists. So, and Adele is a British musical artist.
Ching, as Sam Chapman gets a really good run down the main straight to complete lap number 3. He's got the inside for Paddock Hill Band, will take control of the lead for the first time here in race number 2. So John Merritt being relegated back to second. Adrian Duke still holding the fastest lap of the race. So a breakaway for the top 3. Tim Harris, Brodie Shepherd, Tony Baker in the background, all battling for third and fourth. Sorry, 4th and 5th.
But I think Dell is a geographic feature, like a little bit of a dip or a depression or something. So maybe there's a person called Dingle, and in combination, it's their little dip.
So you think a dell might be like a grassy knoll?
Oh, the other way. So a dip rather than a little mound. But everything's named after someone. So every corner has a name. Every straight has a little name as well. Brands Hatch with an incredible amount of history for everything. Touring cars, F1 here, IndyCar here, and then motorcycling at the highest levels as well, all the way back to dirt motorbikes.
And I think before that it was even cycling before motorbikes were a thing. So
bit of rallycross to go with it. Just a bit of everything at Brands Hatch since the 40s and 50s. Bit of shade comes across the racetrack. It'll cool it down a little bit. Adrian Duke moves ahead of John Merritt. Sam Chapman's leading us at the moment. And it looks like Tim Harris and Brodie Shepherd are going to catch the top 5 as Tim Harris just sets the fastest lap of the race. He's in pursuit of the leaders, and the leaders look to be just letting off a little bit, like we're reaching the halfway point of the race and we're going to play a little bit of games.
Yeah, Tim Harris moving through the field, making ground on the leaders, pushing very hard, but looking pretty comfortable at the same time. So that gap between 3rd and 4th now is just over half a second. So here we'll be getting some slipstream as we see some smoke in the foreground. And that's Tony Baker going backwards down the field. So getting a little bit loose through Drew at the Surtees corner. Ozicar.net replay will perhaps explain how that all unfolded. A little bit hot to trot. Rear wheels out on the painted curb, unsettled the car, and he finds himself sitting smack bang in the middle of the circuit, having to wait for a couple of cars to go through before he could carry on his merry way. So, back up the front, Sam Chapman, Adrian Duke and John Merritt, but a little bit further back in the field, it is a good, nice little battle, and I think we're looking at Michael Cullen, McKenzie, and
down
Doyle,
yeah. So he had that massive amount of damage, but did get back out on the racetrack. Now Brodie Shepherd's going to take away the fastest lap of the race, as him and Tim Harris have absolutely caught this top 3. So it's been a productive last couple of laps for Tim Harris and Brodie Shepherd. Sam Chapman doing the opposite of race 1, where he sat in 6th position for 10 laps. Here, he's gone up front. Adrian Duke has just a little bit of a wiggle in that key part of traction that brings you here and then Pilgrim's Drop.
So looking over the right-hand shoulder of Chapman, very, very minute wheel inputs, just looking like he's very, very comfortable in the car. There's that blind apex. If you get that wrong, you can find yourself out on the grass on the left-hand side in all sorts of trouble. Now looking out the back, you are focusing on Adrian Duke, John Merritt, Tim Harris and Brodie Shepherd. They're your top 5, all in line waiting for one person to blink and dive into the pits. No one is going to do it this time round. We are at the halfway point of the race. Good run from Adrian Duke. Now he's right underneath that rear tailpipe of Sam Chapman.
The leaders dropping down turn 1. You slide a little bit and then the racetrack comes back up to meet you. You grip up and you feel like maybe I could have taken more speed into that corner, right up until the lap where you do take too much speed and then the grip just doesn't come back to you strongly enough. The elevation change is a strong characteristic around here, Brands Hatch, hence they've named lots of things out of it. Pilgrim's Rise, Pilgrim's Drop, Dingledell, whatever else. And so it affects how you pick your line, how you pick your throttle through almost all of these corners, including there at Surtees, including how late you can brake at the end of this straight, because you pitch sharply uphill, you can brake super late and then flow speed through here because of the hill, and then it drops away on the exit of this next right-hander. You get plenty of the curb, and the track wants to drop away from you.
Yeah, this back part of the circuit, some of the most exciting racing you'll see here at Brands Hatch. 3.6 kilometres, it is a natural amphitheatre, so you can just imagine what it sounds like with these little Formula Vs. Like you said, Formula 1, British Superbikes still compete here. The roar of the engine down inside the amphitheatre would just echo for these spectators, if we were lucky enough to be there and witness it in real life.
This is a replay from last lap. Ira Felberg had some dramas, and that's because Brendan Nealon, I think, spun in front of him. And then Ira Felberg has gone for a couple of rolls and hasn't been able to be righted despite the best efforts. He tried.
You can see his intentions. Gold star for Brendan Nealon despite the mistake. And Ira Felberg just mounting him, even though it may be an unwanted gesture. And
Oh,
poor Brendan Oak.
oh man.
trying to rectify a wrong.
Nudge didn't work in the end, but Ira Felberg will get back racing, even though he's in the 16th position now. So Sean Doyle's persistence has actually been rewarded with getting one position back by the end of all of this. You've got your top 7 who haven't pitted. Everyone from 8th on back has, and the best running driver who has stopped is Jordan Dakin at the moment. He's here just ahead of Warren Henry and Ben Wheeler.
I think from memory it was about a 23-second transit lane through the pits. So the top 7 shouldn't have any trouble falling back into the clutches, as Adrian Duke, the first one to blink out of the leaders, and he is followed in by the corrugated Formula F1600 of Timmy Harris.
Brodie Shepherd too, so you're just your top 4 left out that haven't stopped as a few go together to make their move now. Sam Chapman and John Merritt going the extra mile, and they might need to be careful about being undercut, because we know that the fastest lap of the race went back and forth between Tim Harris and Brodie Shepherd. Meanwhile, Sam Chapman hasn't been leading them at a glacial pace, but he's been leading them at a pace that's been very efficient for him.
John Merritt getting a very good run down Pilgrim's Drop, looking for the inside line. Not too much of a challenge from Sam Chapman. He's happy to roll out of the throttle. As we picked up a little bit earlier on, looks like he was saving fuel, so he's sticking to a race strategy and thinks that he just might be able to get the position back over John Merritt and get it done in the pits with a shorter fuel stop.
So they'll be coming to the end of lap 9 now. Sam Chapman went 10 laps in race number 1, but he's led more in part of a smaller pack now in race number 2. So does he still have it in him to go another one more from here? John Merritt doesn't, but Sam Chapman does, but he's all on his lonesome for one more lap right here. Sam Chapman carries on. Well, John Merritt blend back in, knowing that he's going to try to battle with Adrian Duke, Tim Harris and Brodie Shepherd.
So Sam Chapman using all the exit on the Paddock Hill bend, just clutching going in and down into Druids, trying to save that little bit of fuel again. Making his way down through Graham Hill bend, and you can see John Merritt there just coming back out behind Adrian Duke, and there has been a split in the pack again.
Yeah, there's Duke and Merritt together, while Harris and Shepherd are just 2 seconds further back. So they've got to put in that working together pace that they had early in the race if they're going to catch Duke and Merritt. And we still don't know where Sam Chapman is going to end up amongst all of this. So he's not necessarily on the quickest lap for an in-lap, but he will have a quick stop as demonstrated by last race. Here's Merritt getting up to speed just behind Adrian Duke, but they can't afford to tangle over each other and cost time before Sam Chapman has made his pit stop. That's going to be one of their key rivals. So here's Duke defending the inside. Here's Merritt looking around the outside, getting into the grey, not finding much grip there, even though he was well ahead going into the corner. The rubbered in-line is supreme when it comes to the grip.
So Sam Chapman diving into pit lane as we watch Adrian Duke and John Merritt make their way through the back part of the circuit. We'll stay with this little battle because this will unfold and we'll be able to see just exactly where Sam Chapman re-emerges. A little bit of lap traffic up in front as well. I think that might be Ira Felberg after a wild ride earlier on about lap 6.
If that's correct, just Chapman's in the pit lane there, getting his service done right now. Now he's done, and he'll be rolling towards the exit. But here's Adrian Duke at speed, looks to his right. No Sam Chapman. There's Sam Chapman just getting to the apex of 1, so he's ahead now with 2 laps to go. John Merritt gets through on Adrian Duke. Ira Felberg gets out of the way of the top 3, and here's the fight. Another great strategy masterstroke from Sam Chapman by the looks of things.
Yeah, the Vermilion Motorsport strategists, they're doing everything right today. So 2 races, 2 late stops, 2 substantial gains on track. So lap 11 of 12, tyres are probably just about up to normal operating temperature. And he does have a 1.1 second gap back to the battle for second and third.
Yeah, he's doing Vermilion miles per gallon, and that might be the winning masterstroke. 1.2 seconds from him to John Merritt is the key gap. I figure Merritt can probably put the blowtorch on a little bit there. Here's Mackenzie and Cullen in 6th and 7th. So there's going to be battles all the way through your top 10 when we get onto the final lap shortly. Can Sam Chapman keep back John Merritt and Adrian Duke? Can Tim Harris and Brodie Shepherd catch up? Can Mackenzie hold off Michael Cullen, who's been the big charger of this round? And Jordan Dakin and Warren Henry are also going to fight out for their positions. This is going to be a great last lap of the night because it's all to be decided now.
Our leader making his way through to get the white flag from Barney. He's being waved vigorously. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th across the line. It is separated by about 2.4 seconds between the top 5. But the real battle at the moment on screen is 2nd and 3rd, John Merritt and Adrian Duke. And also Tim Harris, Brodie Shepherd. So they're the ones we've got to watch out for in this final lap.
John Merritt just got within 1 second of the race lead, but he needs to be that close and then get the toe and then close and then pass. And they're running out the time to do it. Through Surtees, out into the Grand Prix circuit goes Sam Chapman. Merritt runs a tiny bit wide. They're battling on behind in 4th and 5th as well. Every car you see is now for position on this final lap. Brodie Shepherd picking up the fastest lap of the race at the end of last lap as he towed up behind Tim Harris, who will not be moving the shed out of the way to give 4th place to Brodie Shepherd by the looks of things. Chapman still holding on to his lead. A few drivers fueling shorter in race 2 than they did in race 1. Might be just needing to coax it towards the line. If you see one cough or splutter, don't be surprised, because they all knew it came down to the pit strategy when it came down to positions. One corner left for Sam Chapman, 0.8 of a second ahead of John Merritt. Then Adrian Duke, Tim Harris, Brody Shepherd is not going to be able to make that move through the final corner. And with the late pit stop again, it's a second place and a first place for Sam Chapman at Brands Hatch. He picked up some big wins as Duke runs out of fuel on the way to the checkered flag. I said, don't be surprised if it happens.
Yeah, took the gamble, come about 150 metres short and just had to cough and splutter across the line. Warren Henry and Jordan Dakin in 8th and 9th. So a couple of good results for Warren Henry inside the top 10 tonight. He will be thrilled with that, and that'll go well towards his championship campaign. He decides to pull over at the first opportunity, a little bit further back. It's 282 of Nathan Verney and what was a wounded Stuart Vaughan after some great pace early on in the night.
Wow, it was so close at the end. Sam Chapman from John Merritt and Tim Harris, as they, and along with Brody Shepherd, just leaped ahead of Adrian Duke. So here's Duke in third position through the Clark curve, and he looks to get to the power, and it's there, and then it's not.
You see the closing pace of the cars behind. They would have been licking their lips, rubbing their hands together. A couple of free positions, and poor old Adrian Duke just rolling to a stop. And as a result, finding himself just off the podium.
Well, very competitive round of racing where we saw racecraft was important, consistency was important, getting the fuel strategy right was also super important. Let's get to race 2's results. Sam Chapman, the winner of race 2. John Merritt, the winner of race 1. Both of them with a first and a second, demonstrating all of the characteristics we described. Tim Harris and Brody Shepherd sneaking ahead of Adrian Duke on the final lap of race 2. Michael Cullen in 6th, ahead of Sean McKenzie at the end. Warren Henry, Jordan Dakin, Ben Wheeler completing the top 10. Nathan Verney in 11th from Stuart Vaughan, John Snell, Brendan Nealon. Sean Doyle had damage and had to tow. Ira Felberg was face down, diffuser up, and needed a tow, ended up in 16th place. And Tony Baker retired after his early contact in this race.
Yeah, 12 short laps here around, but there was action aplenty from the moment the lights went green to the drop of the checkered flag, both in race 1 and race 2. Everything you'd expect to see in Ozicar. Plenty of respect shown between the drivers as well. So you can see, just particularly at race 1 on that final lap there, the side-by-side between Sam Chapman, John Merritt, and of course Adrian Duke, just goes to show the respect that these guys have between each other. And there wouldn't be too many series out there where you could do half the circuit side-by-side.
Truly was good racing. For the most part, respect given. Almost every incident we saw was a little more clumsy than malicious. And it was a great round of Ozicar Formula Ford from Brands Hatch. You won't have to wait a lifetime to get your next Aussie car fix. It'll be here on Simspeed TV in 2 weeks' time. Race 1 winner is going to join us, John Merritt. Well, John, you'd think that petrol was $10 a litre the way you guys raced both of the races today.
I'm not sure about that. I said to Timmy Harris, I reckon someone had a drill bit on my fuel tank. I didn't. I certainly used a bit too much in that second race, I think.
You led a lot of the way in race 1. It came up good for you right at the end in one of the closest Aussie car finishes we've seen, I think, outside of V's at Phillip Island. That was seriously, that first race was some fantastic racing. You know, I think there was 4 or 5 guys, and respectful driving. You know, we were 3 wide in a number of those corners, 3 wide down the straight. So thoroughly enjoyed it. favourite English food?
Oh, have to be English baked beans.
I reckon for me it's crumpets, but there's some options to pick from, particularly around the breakfast menu. Slipstream, obviously pretty strong here for Formula Fords, maybe more than Cadwell Park or some of the other racetracks.
Yeah, it was quite prominent on both the straights, and you could pretty much hold half throttle. So once we realised that in race 2, there was some fuel saving to be had. I mean, they under a litre a lap, but certainly made a difference. If I started earlier in that race, we could have probably filled to 2 litres, I think.
Well, congratulations on the good results. You're always a lock-in for the top 10 at the end of the championship, and we're sort of rapidly heading towards that deciding phase. We're going to go to Donington in 2 weeks' time. How's that going to go for you?
Hopefully something like tonight. So as long as we can battle in that front pack, it's good, respectful fun. So there's a heap of quality guys in here, and it's always good racing.
Weather stay dry, best you can hope for in England.
I don't know about that. Might be lucky if it does.
We'll see you then.
Thanks. Cheers, Dave.
John Merritt from Pulse Tuning Echuca Toyota. The other driver to take some race wins for Million Motorsports, Sam Chapman, is with Jason Fewens.
Bam! Absolutely perler of a night tonight. Some great results, some great speed, some great strategy, and some of the best racing we've seen here on Simspeed TV, and particularly amongst the Ozicar series. How'd you find it from the driver's seat?
Oh, it's great fun. Like, this track with these cars is just a brilliant combination. So yeah, enjoyed every second of it. Great racing. Everyone was really clean. It was race smart, and I was happy to get the sort of second and the first. It was all, I looked at it and went, well, if there's fuel in it, I'll play that game.
So you were qualified 6th, didn't have the outright pace early on, but obviously found your groove and the rhythm, managed to avoid a little bit of carnage on the opening lap of race 1 as it all unfolded behind you. Played a very smart one there in race number 1, just sat back at the back of that battling 6, saved a heap of fuel. We picked up on that, and going the extra lap before you decided to dive into the pits really played dividend.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And that was the thing. I was looking ahead and, I had a gap behind me. The outright pace was there tonight, but I didn't do, my last 2 quali laps were gotten off track. So I couldn't get up further there. So just figured it was best to, let them fight. If something happens. And if it doesn't, I might be able to get them, on strategy towards the end. And we almost got John there, but he's a wily one. And he's a very difficult one to overtake in these sort of little cars. So, that was a great little finish to the race there.
Yeah, wily old Coyote and John Merritt, but that last lap side by side for what was probably 2/3 of the lap.
Yeah.
Big kahunas to hold it around the outside through the back part of the circuit, and then trying to get that run out of the final Clark curve to the finish line, and it was like 0.035 or something. I think literally about 1/3 of a car length.
I had a look, it was 0.018, and I was like, and he even got a bit of a push on the line, so I was like, I reckon it would have been close to a dead heat without the push. But it's a wily old one, and it's a difficult one to get through. But yeah, on that outside, it's tough, and if I didn't dip the tyres in the grass in that sort of final section there, it might have been able to sort of keep it there. But yeah, nevertheless, John was able to get one up there.
Well, if you couldn't get the win, you've definitely put on a show, and great racing tonight through both 1 and 2. Managed to walk away with the win, again, 3 strategy in race number 2. Obviously, a bit of a fan favourite of this track is. It's really well suited to the style and the flowing nature of these vehicles.
Yeah, it really is. Like, I love Brands Hatch, but it is obviously more suited to sort of lower power vehicles. But, when you get good racing like that, it's brilliant. It's that perfect combination between having a bit of straights to catch up, but also, not too much, and a bit of, grass to be able to fall into if, you're going side by side. So, yeah, wonderful track there. And, really happy, obviously, in race 2 to take home the win. And, yeah, once again, that was, John, I think, noticed what I was up to and went, you can go back past again. But, I stuck on strategy and kept fuel saving and went, if you want to come past me, you can come past me. If not, I'll back up the pack. So I did and was able to.
Well, you'll be able to watch back the broadcast because John did mention he thought someone drilled a hole in his fuel tank, so he was using more fuel than he anticipated. So we'll let you go, but congratulations, a very, very strong result tonight here at the halfway point of the season. We'd expect, with a little bit of luck, hopefully to see you back on the podium and in the commentary box in the remaining rounds, and good luck in the championship.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Maybe just one driver left to have a chat with. So I can click in the right place. Maybe I can get Tim Harris. 6th and 3rd. How'd that go for you, Tim?
A lot better after poor old Adrian left his portable drill beside his car in the break in between the races. So, lesson learned there, Adrian. Unfortunately, don't leave your battery drill line there, mate, because you run out of fuel.
So it would seem that was kind of the... Did you borrow it to assemble your shed, or...?
Well, yeah. I didn't do anything else with it, I don't think.
Certainly seems like a race very characterized around the strategy. No one was looking like they were going to break away and that the undercut was going to be strong.
No, I think you had to keep in the draft, and I think Sam did a great job just saving fuel. And I think that's really probably what threw him over the line at the end there.
And which corners are most challenging? Because there is not a great elevation difference lowest to highest point, but it just keeps sort of rocking up and down around here.
Yeah, look, most of the night I was having trouble with probably turns 1, 3, 4, definitely. 5's pretty good. 6 was all right. 7 was quite an issue sometimes. 8, yeah, it is pretty shocking, and 9 almost come a cropper a couple of times. So, and I did also botch my pit in the first race. So, 5 was good. 5, definitely my favourite.
Can we get you to read the Powerball numbers after this?
Oh, I can only count to 9, sorry, mate.
So no supplementaries then, okay. Well, congratulations on your results. Looking forward to more good racing when we go to Donington in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, that's my second favourite track.
Great for if you want to get a bit of plane spotting done while you're racing as well.
Yeah, hopefully I won't become a plane, so we'll see how that one goes, eh?
Awesome, see you then.
Thanks, mate.
I think the power drill might have affected his microphone as well. You'll see him, us, the other racers for the next round of Ozicar Formula Ford's Season 5 at Donington Circuit, 28th of October, here on Simspeed TV. Wherever it is that you're watching, drop a like, click subscribe so you don't miss any more of the iRacing action we're going to bring you on Simspeed TV. This has been Ozicar Formula Ford. I've been David Haynes. Jason Fewens with me, Daniel Yeaman on the production. Race winners John Merritt and Sam Chapman will be walking away from Brands Hatch with a smile until next round.